Chapter 110. He will regret it when his body is drained. The commotion here attracted the attention of the ordinary people nearby. Not long after, outside the ashes, a circle of people filled up the place. TSK, I didn't come for nothing. Immortals are indeed extraordinary. What immortal, this is Buddha, has gone to the Western Pure Lands in the future. Immortals, Buddhas, aren't they all the same? Why are you looking at the man when there's a fairy beside him? She's so beautiful. Sanshi opened his eyes amidst a series of chirping sounds. His eyes contained a golden glow, making him look extraordinary. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, he was a little speechless. Aren't you afraid of the plague by gathering here? During this period of time, the plague had been very fierce. Sometimes, an entire village would be wiped out and white cloths were hung everywhere in Silken City in mourning. There were very few people on the row, and it had been a long time since they'd seen so many people gathered together. The immortal spoke to us. Immortal, we are all people who survived the plague. We are not afraid of the plague anymore. The group of people spoke at once, making Sanshi realize that they were all survivors. From a scientific point of view, there was indeed no concerns of them catching the plague anymore. At this moment, a gust of cold wind blew over. He suddenly felt cold all over and looked down. Sanshi hurriedly took out a set of spare clothes and put them on. Seeing that everyone was still staring at him, he felt embarrassed when he thought about how he had probably exposed his nude self just now. He said shamelessly, "What are you looking at? There's nothing to see anymore. Go home and do what you have to do now." Everyone took a step back in fear, but they still didn't retreat. Instead, more people came over. Young master, Liu Wuxia walked lightly, like a flower of the snow lotus, and arrived in front of Sanshi bringing over a fragrance. Her eyes were filled with joy. "Congratulations, young master. You've successfully reached the foundation establishment realm, and even cultivated a Dharma body. Your strength far exceeds ordinary foundation establishment cultivators." Elder Yuan, Big Smart, and Mei Niang stood at the side with smiles. "Thank you for guarding me for half a day." Sanshi smiled at Elder Yuan and the other two. He walked over and held Liu Wuxia's hand and asked, "Shall we continue?" Seeing Sanshi holding Liu Wuxia's hand and even hugging her waist, the crowd immediately exploded in gossip. Look, this isn't a Buddha. How can a Buddha be so intimate with women? You're ignorant. Haven't you heard of the joyful Buddha? At this moment, Sanshi also realized that his hair had been destroyed, because it could not withstand the stronger Nine essence energy, and he had become bald. However, he still felt depressed that he was treated as a monk. He carried Liu Wuxia and said, as they walked, "Zur, do I look like a monk?" Liu Wuxia looked at Sanshi with her beautiful eyes. She covered her mouth and smiled. "You really do look like a Buddhist disciple." Sanshi scratched his head and coughed. "Let's not lower ourselves to these people's level. Let's leave quickly." They tapped on the ground and flew up lightly, quickly leaving the crowd, leaving behind a group of people who were inexplicably excited to see them fly. "Elder Yuan, I didn't delay your schedule, right?" Sanshi looked at Elder Yuan apologetically. He was rather grateful that Elder Yuan had personally protected him. "No. It's a surprise for us that young Master San can break through." Just as Elder Yuan was about to mention this act, a middle-aged man in government clothes walked over. This person was in his 40s. There were birds embroidered on the official's clothes. He had a square face and wide ears. His eyes were slightly small and he walked with a majestic gait. Behind him were more than 10 cultivators. "In the prefecture leader of Silken City, Wan Huwu. I'm here to invite young Master San to join my residence to train as one of my army." Cultivator army, or a special army formed by cultivators. They belonged to the special military forces of Great Jin. Their role was different from departments like the Demon Slayers Division. They mainly target battles between cultivators. Not interested. Sanshi could not be bothered to ask further and directly refused. He had already decided to be free and did not want to restrain himself. The latter's smile froze, and he said meaningfully, "Are you going to the Yao Moon Palace? That's not a good place. Lord Wan, I don't like what you're saying. My Yao Moon Palace didn't attack you. Why are you bad-mouthing us?" Elder Yuan retorted coldly. "That's not what I meant. I just feel that young Master Song go into a sect with mostly female cultivators is not good for your health. Wan Huwu said meaningfully. I can handle it. Song Shi patted his chest. How could a man back down in such a situation? Wan Huwu was speechless. Did this kid not know how dangerous those women in the Yaomun Palace were? If there's nothing else, well, take our leave first. Elder Yuan's face was cold. She was unwilling to let Wan Huwu continue to recruit Song Shi. Young Master Song is a cultivator was born from our Silken City. I wish you a smooth cultivation path. Come back more often when you're free. I'll definitely treat you to a banquet. Wan Huwu tactfully stopped persuading him and wished him well with a few lines. Young Master Song's identity in the Demon Slayers division will be effective at any time. A man beside Wan Huwu spoke. Thanks a lot. Song Shi cupped his fists and did not pay much attention to how generous they were being. The other party was only saying all these because he had reached the Foundation establishment realm. The five of them turned around and left. Wan Huwu looked at Song Shi's back and narrowed his eyes. His talent is indeed outstanding. I hope this kid doesn't join the demon cult. Otherwise, he will be a huge problem to us in the future. Wan Huwu muttered. I don't think so. After all, the demonic sect has killed many people from his family. However, the Yaomun Palace is wavering. It's indeed very troublesome for them to sit this one out. The commander of the Demon Slayers division beside Wan Huwu shook his head and expressed his opinion. We should tell the Lord about what happened. He also thinks quite highly of this kid. Wan Huwu brought his men back and reported Song Shi's insistence on going to the Yaomun Palace. When the white-robed scholar heard this, he couldn't help but laugh. Young people are so naive. Don't you know that those women from the Yaomun Palace are people who eat people without spitting out their bones? When his body is squeezed dry and his essence is emptied, he will regret it. Everyone could not help but reveal a smile that all men understood. I can only say that this person is too entranced from being charmed by a woman and doesn't know that his life is in danger. Wan Huwu had a mocking expression on his face. I understand, everyone. You can go off now. This is only one young genius. After we lost control of keeping tabs on the number of cultivators, many more will definitely appear. Don't worry too much. The white-robed scholar waved his hand and let Wan Huwu and the others leave. After waiting for a moment, he muttered to himself, although there's no need to recruit this young man, the source of information on the Yaomun Palace must be maintained. Feiyu secretly developed Song Shi into a spy and keep an eye on the internal situation of the Yaomun Palace. If they really have any thoughts on taking sides. The white-robed Confucian scholar paused for a moment and a cold light appeared in his eyes. It's better to destroy them in advance than to be flustered about what to do when they join the rebel army in the future. Yes, a voice answered in the dark, then quickly disappeared, as if it had never appeared. The white-robed Confucian scholar opened a map and looked at the red area on it. He frowned. The rebels this time are different from before. They have no bottom line and are wreaking havoc everywhere. They're really not easy to deal with. People who eat people without spitting out their bones is a Chinese phrase used to refer to people who will make use of people to their limit without any reservations.